Hi, everyone. It's Leslie coming to you live from Mission Viejo. I apologize that a few minutes late here. Had a fire alarm go off and then technical difficulty with Facebook. So sorry about that. But want to thank everyone for joining and welcome you to another episode of Love Where You Live, Give Where You Love. Our topic today is going to be questions to ask when you're selling a home, questions to ask a realtor that you're going to interview. Naturally, if you're interviewing me, hopefully, I'd actually like you to ask me these questions, but hopefully you've already been convinced and wowed with my expertise and my tenacity and my perseverance and my performance. But these are still great questions to ask nonetheless. And while we wait for people to join the call, tell me where you're watching from and how's the weather. Hi, Phil. Hi, Mike. Thanks for joining. Where are you guys watching from? Of course, as always, we love likes and hearts, and we always love referrals. So, and like to thank you very kindly for those. So hi, Mike. So we have two Mikes and a Phil watching right now. Today, our topic is going to be questions to ask sellers, not to ask sellers, for sellers to ask a realtor that they're interviewing. As I mentioned in some of my tips previously, it is important to interview at least two realtors so you feel comfortable with the realtor you end up working with, because this is one of your biggest investments, your home, and selling it is a big deal. Hi, Annalisa. Thanks so much for joining. And thanks for saying that you love our Facebook Live episodes and my smiling face. I appreciate that. Wow. And Mike, you're doing this from the gym in between sets. I'm impressed. That's devotion and dedication to our episodes. I like that a lot. So again, if you want to share where you're coming from, where you're watching from, whether it's your office or a city or anything. Always love to know where everyone is watching from. Hi, Alexis. Thanks for joining. Of course, another thing to remember too is that everything that we're going to cover is actually in a blog post that is on our website, which is www.theswanteamoc.com. If you click on the blog tab, you will see these questions and some of my answers. I am going to elaborate on them a bit more in today's Facebook Live video, but you can at least get the nuts and bolts of the questions and certainly something to grab if and when you are interviewing another realtor for the great honor of selling and listing your home. As always, to remember that the link to that blog also is in the description of this post. And then if you look left, which I believe I'm pointing to your left, you can always sign up for emails of the OC housing report or the monthly newsletter or the weekly blog. There are a lot of different options. So if you can sign up for those, that would be great. We'd love to keep you up to date on the housing market or anything in particular. If you want to know something about your specific housing tract, we'd love to share that with you. Hi, Roya. Thanks for joining. So I think we have a fair number of people that have joined in. Again, as you are listening and watching, if there's anything that you have questions about or that you'd like to share a comment, please feel free. I will try to get to them as quickly as possible. Of course, if there's anything that resonates with you and you want to like it or heart it, I'd love that too. So let's get right into it. What questions should you ask a realtor when you are looking to sell your house? A house potentially that you've lived in for 2 years, a house that you've lived in for 40 years. Either way, it is something that is part of you and it's very important to you, and any realtor should recognize that and be willing to answer some of these questions. And hopefully a realtor would be impressed that you would have this set of questions to ask. Hi, Mike. Thanks for joining. So the first question that you can ask The realtor is, how many days does it take you to sell a home, and how does this compare to the rest of the market, or at least in my area, the other realtors? This is a really great question, because it's important, I think, that a realtor know this. I know me personally, I think it's very important that I don't just list your house, but that I actually sell your house. And I'd love to say that that's the case for all realtors, but it's not. And so when you want to sell your home for top dollar and quickly, knowing how many days on market they average, and how it compares to the rest of your specific community or your area or your city is always key. There might be some one-offs here and there, but in general, their average, you want it to be somewhere that you're comfortable with. And ideally, you'd like it to be a number that is lower than the city or community average, right? Then there's also the question of, what's your average variation between initial listing price and final sales price? To me, this is huge, because I think that most people are looking for a realtor to be real with them, to not just placate a fantasy or a dream that your house is worth $2 million, or say, sure, we'll list it for $2 million, when in reality it's going to sell for 1.1. As a consumer or as a client, you come to a realtor with the expectation that they're going to bring their expertise and their knowledge to the situation. And there are at times realtors that might just take, will tell you that they're going to sell your house for $2 million just to get the listing. I know myself personally, again, I pride myself on trying to be conservative and realistic with my clients, because I want them to understand what the market is truly like and what I expect it to be. I would love to say that your house is worth $2 million, but if I can't produce a buyer for it, then I don't want to sell myself short and underperform. I always want to exceed your expectations. So again, this average variation between initial listing price and sales price is key. It should be a percentage, and it should be a low percentage. I know mine personally is about 1.1%, which I'm pretty proud of, because that means that I've very rarely had to do any price reductions, and am selling very close to list price, so that going into the transaction, the seller is very aware of what they're hopefully going to earn and the profit they're going to make on their property, and they're not having to wait a long time to receive that profit. That's kind of the nice balance that I personally like to have. Again, to have a low days on market and a low variation between the initial sales price and the final sales price, because who really wants to list their house for $2 million and end up selling it for 1.1? No one, right? Not to mention, you get all excited. Oh, wow, this agent tells me that my house is worth $2 million. And then all of a sudden, when you only get 1.1, or that's the biggest offer you get, of course I'm exaggerating, but you get what I'm saying. That's a real downer and a real bummer. And oftentimes too, that can make you have a really bad taste in your mouth about that realtor. So again, I think it's important to understand that your realtor has realistic expectations and that is continuing to keep it real with you. And I'm glad you like that, Alexis. The next question to ask a realtor is, how will you sell my home? What specific marketing strategies will you use? If the realtor's response is, well, I'll add it to MLS and I'll put a sign in front of your house, and that's it, that might be the end of your interview, or you may not need to go any further, because the days of putting a sign up and just putting it on the MLS, I would hope that you'd want a realtor to be a little bit more creative for you, and have more strategy to ensuring that you get, again, maximum profit and maximum value out of your biggest investment. So again, asking for those marketing strategies. Are you going to market it on social media? Are you going to have a direct mail campaign? Are you going to door knock on to all of my neighbors? Are you going to have open houses? All the different broker preview. There are so many different tools to use that a realtor telling you that they're going to put a sign in and put it on MLS, even if it is right now a really great seller's market, the idea that that's all the work they're going to put into your house. Again, I know me personally, that isn't going to cut the mustard. So, hi, Alec. Thanks so much for joining. So again, but maybe you are okay with just a sign going up in front of your house and and it being put on MLS, and that'll satisfy you. If that's the case, then maybe this is the right realtor for you. But again, it's always important to ask the question just so you understand what's going to come down the line when your house actually gets put on the market. Another question that I think is important to ask is, what exactly are you going to do to help me get my home ready to sell? I will say that I have been to some homes where I walk in and I think, oh my goodness, I don't have to do a single thing to this house, and I am stoked. There are other times where definitely my advice and my assistance and my services are definitely needed. Even on those homes that I walk in and I'm stoked, I still offer and will provide a complete window washing for the entire home, because I think that's important so that the house sparkles and shines from the inside and out. Again, we're looking at big picture. When someone walks up to the front door or looks from the outside, we want to make sure they can see through the windows, or that the windows look clean, and vice versa. When they're inside the house, you want to make sure that they can see well out into the backyard, that there isn't a gray film or a gray or brown film making the beautiful additions that you've made perhaps to your landscaping look a little murky and muddy because, or less vibrant than they are because your windows aren't clean. So that's one thing that I do. In addition, we can certainly help with handyman services if there are certain things that need to get fixed, whether it's light switches or you have holes in the wall that need to be puttied up, little painting here and there. That kind of stuff goes a long way. And then, of course, there is photography. It is essential that your realtor provides a professional real estate photographer to photograph your property. If they tell you that they have a great camera and they're going to photograph the home all by themselves, again, this might be the opportunity for you to say, thank you so much, we'll be in touch. Because I'm telling you, the profession, there is a huge profession when it comes to real estate photographers, and what they do to make your house look fantastic in pictures, again, is what is going to be the difference of someone seeing it online and then saying, I don't want to see it, versus seeing it online and wanting to go see it. Again, unless they came from a background of being a professional real estate photographer or perhaps a professional photographer, then maybe that would be okay. But otherwise, again, you want to make sure that your realtor is using a professional photographer to make your home look the best and sell the best it possibly can. Then my next question is, again, always a question that I think that you'll know if you like the answer or not. Hi, Colleen. Thanks for joining. It is, what sets you apart from other realtors? And I think that sometimes that might be a question that sets a realtor back, or doesn't necessarily, it catches them off guard. And I think that it's a really important question, because if a realtor is going to sell your house, they need to be able to sell themselves. And I know, for example, what sets me apart from other realtors is not only my passion and contribution to the community and making sure that my clients love where they live, and as a result, I give where they love, but it is the tenacity and the hard work ethic that and the competitive spirit that I have to make sure that my clients get exactly what they want. I never back down from a challenge, and that is exactly how I approach every transaction that I have, whether it's a buy or a sell. So again, that's what I feel sets me apart from other realtors, and that's something that I like to share. But again, if you ask a realtor that question and they kind of just sit there and say, or if you just don't like their answer, then, again, just information. Hi, Liz. Thanks so much for joining. Another important aspect of working with a realtor is communication. So another question that you can ask a potential realtor that you're going to work with is, how will you keep me informed? I like to err on the side of over communicating with my clients because I'd rather them say, oh my gosh, Leslie, back off, than where's my realtor? Where'd she go? But it's also important to find out what their preferred method of communication is. Maybe the realtor, likes to email more than text. Again, another way that I think it's important to see if the realtor spins the question is, well, actually, how do you like to be communicated with? Because at the end of the day, you are the client and you are the customer. So the realtor should be adapting their communication style to meet your needs. So again, whether it's text, phone calls, email, snail mail, whatever they want, it's important that you communicate in a style that is best for the client. And again, also understanding that as realtors, we go through this experience with every client, as the different steps of the transaction, and knowing that your realtor is going to be there every step of the way, explaining exactly what's going on, making you feel comfortable and confident with what's going on is key. So, again, I think that is an important question that you ask your realtor. Then comes another question, which this is an interesting one because everyone has a different school of thought on this question, but I'll ask it anyways. How long have you been a realtor, or how long have you been an agent? Most people aren't going to necessarily love if you say, I've just been a realtor for 2 months. But then again, every person and every realtor and every agent has to get that first client, right? Again, maybe the answers to all the other questions are what's going to help make you feel comfortable and confident with the amount of time they've been an agent. But on the other side of the coin is, I've been a realtor for 40 years and I know exactly what's going on in this business. I will say in my experience that sometimes there are some realtors that have been doing it for many, 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 many years that are very up to speed on the new ways of marketing, the new challenges in the market. Then there are some that, as we say, might be just phoning it in and have been doing it a really long time. Again, these are going to be, this is just a question that kind of gives you a number, but you're going to have to gauge based upon their other answers if you really feel like they are the right person to sell, list, and market your home. Because again, it all depends on what you're looking for in a realtor. Are you looking for someone that is, a go-getter, or are you looking for someone that has more old school style and skills? That all might come to play depending on how many years they have been an agent. But then again, there are some agents that have been doing it for many years and they're still killing it because they evolve as the market and as the industry evolves. So again, it's just information for you to use however you want to. The next question, though, I think is kind of a follow-up to the how many years have you been an agent? And it is, do you do this full time? There are many agents out there that they don't do this full time, and that's okay. But again, when it comes to listing your home, do you want someone that does this part-time to be your listing agent? Or do you want someone that has a full-time job that also got the real estate license, because it's totally easy to sell your house? Again, that's only a question that you can answer. But when you want a response to how things are going with the marketing of your home, and someone let's say, for example, they're a police officer. That's their full-time job. And you try to call them during the day and you want answers, but they're busy doing their full-time job. Is that really an agent that you want representing you? Again, only you can answer that question. Sometimes if you do have a friend or family member that does have a real estate license on the side, and as I say, kind of on the side because it isn't something they do full time, what you might want to ask them to do is to research for you and find you a great agent. And they can simply ask then for a referral fee. And that way you can feel good in knowing that you made a little bit of a profit for your family member or friend, but then you also know that you're getting the best agent possible to represent you and your home and maximize the profit on your sale. So again, knowing how much their commitment level is to their position, their job, and you and your home and your listing is key. Another question, sorry, there are a lot of questions. So if you're thinking about selling your house, there are a lot of things that you need to make sure you know and you cover. How many clients are you currently representing? There are some people that are fantastic at representing 10 clients and can make every single client feel like they are the only client you have, and that is fantastic. There are other clients that try to stick to a smaller amount of clients so that, again, they can have that individualized attention for their clients. It's just information. And what's nice to know too is right now at this moment, how many clients are you representing? Because you can kind of understand, okay, where am I going to fall in line, or if you only have 24 hours in a day, how much of the time realistically am I going to get? And it may be a number that you're okay with. It may not. Again, it's information for you to decide, which then piggybacks me into my next question is, do you have a team? Because if your agent has or if the realtor that you're speaking with has a team and has different people throughout their team that does different aspects of the transaction or of the marketing, then that can certainly make you feel really great, knowing that there is more than just one person to rely on and that there is more than one person covering the whole load of various clients and all the different elements that go into marketing, selling, the actual then escrow, transaction, all that good stuff. So again, understanding what team is supporting this realtor is very important. The next question is, what knowledge or are you knowledgeable about my area? Again, this is always a nice thing to know and a nice thing to have when it comes to being a agent representing a property, because if you don't know much about the area, then it can be a little challenging if there are specific quirks to the neighborhood or certain buyers that you're trying to target, because they are, there might be a specific market of buyers that you really want to go after. Having said that, I have sold homes in areas that I am not as familiar with because I was able to do research and familiarize myself with it. So knowing the realtor and understanding their experience, their expertise, and their kind of go-getter attitude and spirit can easily answer this question if they haven't sold a house in that area before, but they've now done their research and they know all these specific things. Then that can certainly make you feel comfortable and make you feel great about that realtor representing you. Now, the hope for all of us when we're selling our home is that we get multiple offers and we get into that bidding war. And it is important to ask the realtor, how do you handle multiple offers? There is a wide variety of how to handle multiple offers, and I think that it's very important that it is that there is a plan put in place that is easily communicated, and there is a lot of communication between you as the seller and the agent. If the realtor doesn't have a strategy, then I think that's maybe where then you might want to question and say, Because ideally there needs to be a plan A and a plan B for everything when listing your home, because unfortunately, as we all know, things don't always go exactly according to plan, in a good way and a bad way. So in a good way, if you get a ton of offers, what are you going to do? Oh, well, we'll just take the first one we get. That's my strategy. That's not going to necessarily benefit you the most. So again, those are just things that you want to follow up and ask a realtor about. Then there is the question of, okay, once we've gone into escrow, will you be here for the home inspections, the appraisals, and any other inspections that are done on the home? Again, if they're part of a team, maybe they have a specific team member that comes out. Great. That's totally prerogative, and that can be what the team does. Again, it's all what you're comfortable with. But bottom line, you want to make sure that the realtor says, nah, I don't need to be there. It's not a big deal, because it is. All of those things are important in case the appraiser has any questions or the home inspector has any questions. The realtor needs to be there to represent you and to represent the property as best as it possibly can be, so that it shows well, it represents well, and it presents well, and that everyone is feeling confident and comfortable with the property, appraising for the right value and for any structural, electrical, any kind of potential issues that might show up in a home inspection. So, and the last question is, ask for references. Do they have anyone that you can talk to share with you their experience in working with you? If they don't, maybe it's because they're new, and that's okay. But I would say that any realtor is going to have at least 2 or 3 people that they'd be more than happy to give their contact information and share with you their experience working with that realtor. So those are my questions that you can ask a realtor when looking to sell your house. If you have any questions, definitely let me know. As I mentioned, you can feel free to go to the blog in the link in the description to see all of these questions asked as written and explained again, as a reference point for you. Again, please feel free to sign up for any of our newsletters. And also, if you are interested in, I have explained and done other posts, which you can find either here on Facebook, or you can actually go to our YouTube channel, which you can just simply type in the Swan Team OC. We do have a seller's guidebook and checklist that I'd be more than happy to send to you, so that you have additional information about the whole process and what you can expect. So if there aren't any other questions or anything, I would love to thank you so much for joining. And as always, everyone, remember to love where you live, give where you love, and take care. Bye.